Brandon Aiyuk, torn ACL most likely, out for the year most likely. I mean, he could miss the first part of next year too. Like Talanoa Hufanga tore his ACL midway through the year. There's no guarantee that Aiyuk will be back for week 1, and there's no guarantee what he'll be like when he gets back. Case in point, Talanoa Hufanga. So, how do you think this injury impacts the Niners in the present? And then we'll talk about how it impacts them in the future.
In the present, when you're on a team that struggles to get open against man coverage, and your best man coverage beater, wide receiver, and Brandon Aiyuk gets hurt, it doesn't help. Debo's not getting open against press man coverage. Jauan Jennings does well against it because of his size, not because he beats it. So it hurts when your weakness is beating man coverage and your best route runner is done. It hurts, and that's going to have big implications for how they go this season.
All right, I got hot takes. I'm coming with the hot takes. I don't think it's going to hurt.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to hurt. I'm sorry. He was great last year, but I don't think he was playing well this year. That drop yesterday was brutal, and I think this just gives more opportunities for Jauan Jennings and Jacob Cowing. And Ricky Pearsall, too. Now, I wasn't super encouraged with Ricky Pearsall, but that wasn't really the point. He was playing a game 7 weeks after getting shot. Like, that's the point. But I didn't think he was creating that much separation. But again, I'm super open-minded. It's very early with him. Cowing was doing the stuff he was doing in preseason. And Jauan Jennings, I've been saying for a while, deserves more targets. So Cowing, I mean, that stutter move was nasty against man-to-man coverage. I think he might have the skills to beat that. So I'm curious to see if the offense becomes a little bit better in the short term.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing like that, in my opinion. Cowing, we've all been begging for the 49ers to play Cowing against more. And he did exactly what he did in the preseason. He did it last night. So that's good. I'm glad to see that. And he might be able to, get open more than some of these guys. Pearsall, I don't want to judge him. It's too soon, really, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Jauan Jennings has the most contested catches in the NFL, and that's because he really doesn't beat press man coverage. He just makes a play on the ball when Brock throws it up and he goes and gets it. So that's effective, but he's not beating press man coverage. Debo's not beating press man coverage. So I think it's a bad thing. And I also think if you go back and watch the film when the All 22 comes out, all the teams that the 49ers have been playing have been bracketing Brandon Aiyuk and focusing on Brandon Aiyuk. There's no CMC no more. So now Brandon Ayuk's the guy they're dialed in on. And I think that's why some of his numbers have been down. With him out, who are they going to be worried about? Kittle, maybe?
I mean, whether or not Jauan Jennings is creating separation against man-to-man coverage, like he's winning. He's winning. So that's an asset. Like Aiyuk wasn't. Debo isn't. Kittle depends on the matchup. I think Cowing can, but he's not going to get many targets. And then we'll have to see about Ricky Pearsall. So it's possible that their offense doesn't exactly, again, like what was Aiyuk doing this year? 3 catches a game. It's not like he was making an impact yet. I don't think the offense will be that much worse. Maybe it will be. But in the future, $30 million a year on a guy who may not start the season next year, may not be what he was before, like that could really hurt the Niners going forward, that contract.
Yeah, and who knows if Brandon Aiyuk's going to be the same player that he was. I mean, I do think people aren't realizing, like when CMC's gone, the focus now is on Brandon Aiyuk. Teams are dialing in on Brandon Aiyuk. And I think, that has the gravity effect. And then you take him out of it, that goes away. So now you don't have CMC drawing gravity. You don't have Brandon Aiyuk drawing gravity. Now the defenses can dial in on everybody. And I think that is going to hurt this team. As far as the future, who knows if Brandon Ayuk's the same dude? He may not come back the same if it's an ACL, MCL. We don't know. Maybe he does. But I think how it really impacts the future, Grant, is these guys, maybe it's a good thing, learn to not pay. And maybe I need to learn that too, because I was calling for them to pay Brandon Aiyuk. I think the right move would have been to trade BA. Really, now that I look back on it, maybe that's the lesson they learn, and that's how it impacts the future.
Here's the thing. I mean, the Niners are free to do what they want to do. I just don't feel like they have a championship formula, and I think they need to be questioning the way they do business sometimes. Like, would the Chiefs have given Brandon Aiyuk that contract?
No. No, they didn't
And
give it
to me,
Tyreek
like
Hill.
they're not a perfect organization, but they're the best. And if they would clearly not do something, I'd seriously consider not doing it either.
Yeah, I mean, look at these contracts. The CMC is a bad one, and the Brandon Aiyuk one looks bad. Now, I do think, again, I think teams are dialing in on BA, and I think Brandon Aiyuk would have worked his way back.
Sure,
but his drops are just ridiculous. Like, I was defending him, but dude, like, you make too much money to drop this many passes. It's not even like last year he had 2 all season. He's had 2 in a game this year. Yeah, it's
the
tough to
thing with
see.
the Chiefs that's so interesting to me is like they decided that Tyreek Hill wasn't worth $30 million a year. And Tyreek Hill is worth $30 million a year. He's way better than Brandon Aiyuk, but they wouldn't give it to him, and they were right.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we don't even want a wide receiver who's worth $30 million a year, even if he's worth it, because we want to have a great defense and we want to have a great offensive line. And Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid will figure it out. Like, we'll get a bunch of tight ends. We'll get a bunch of running backs who no one wants. Like, we will freaking figure it out, but what we're not going to do is spend hella money for wide receivers. Not going to do it.
That's something I was wrong about, man. I always admit to you guys when I'm wrong. I think I was wrong. Like, I wanted them to get them early for like 26, 25, something like that. Maybe that wasn't possible, but at 30, they should have just traded him. That's how I feel now. I think it was a mistake, and I was wrong about it, and I think the 49ers were too.
We'll see what happens, but yeah, I think the Niners, and I wonder, because it was so interesting, the Niners process of signing him. It seemed like a lot of people in the organization didn't want to, and I wonder if they were a little like at war with themselves, if there was a faction that capitulated, and how they feel now, and if that faction contained, I don't know, owners, Parag. I wonder who was in the organization that's like, this is a bad idea for these reasons. We have spreadsheets. We have Microsoft Excel. We've run the numbers. Not a good idea. Kyle's like, no, it's my team. I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's Kyle's decision. So it's another thing that makes Kyle look bad. And then we talk about one other thing in regards to Kyle Shanahan that's frustrating. Mm-hmm. The fact that he has this offensive line philosophy where he thinks it's not important, and you just need certain type of offensive linemen that can, block in the run game and outside zone. That's proven false as well, and that's never going to change. And I think that's a major problem also. It's just been bugging me, so I wanted to talk about that too.
Okay. Let's get through some super chats. I got one topic left. This guy says Brock Purdy hasn't been the same since the Ravens beat down. 23 turnovers since then. That's not accurate. 23 turnovers since the start of 2023. Misreads. He had Mason in the flat. No one near Mason. Then Kyle is 1-10 against certain DCs. Who knows?